The dinner was meant to be ceremonial. Not officially, no speeches, no engagement photos, but it carried that quiet expectation. Two families at one long table, wine breathing between us, plates arranged as if symmetry could guarantee harmony. I had learned to watch rooms before speaking in them. Years in boardrooms will teach you that. Where people sit. Who pours for whom? Who laughs a second too late? His parents had positioned themselves at the center naturally. My daughter sat beside him, angled slightly inward, as if protecting something fragile. I didn't mind. I have never needed the center. The tap on my shoulder came midway through dessert. Light, almost affectionate. He leaned down slightly so no one else would hear. "My parents don't feel comfortable having you at the wedding," he said softly. "It would be better if you streamed it online. We'll send a private link." He delivered it like a scheduling update. Not cruel, not apologetic. Administrative. For a moment I studied the back of his hand resting on my chair. The confidence in it. The assumption that I would nod, adjust, disappear. I have been underestimated before. It is rarely original. I smiled. Not because I found it amusing, but because dignity sometimes requires stillness. "That's thoughtful," I replied quietly. Across the table, my daughter's fork stopped moving. Silence has weight when it lands properly. Conversations around us continued for half a second too long before thinning. She didn't look at me first. She looked at him. "Excuse me," she asked. He straightened, slightly irritated at the breach of privacy. "It's just logistics," he said. "My parents want a small ceremony. It's cultural, intimate." His mother added something about tradition, about keeping things simple, about not wanting complications. My daughter's voice did not rise. "If my father isn't welcome," she said, "then you can find yourself a new wife." The room inhaled. He laughed, the wrong instinct. "Don't be dramatic." "And a new job," she added, calm as winter. That was when he looked at me. Really looked at me. Until that moment, I had been a polite background figure, a widower who funded tuition, a quiet man at holidays. He worked at my firm. Not because I handed him a favor, I made sure he interviewed like everyone else. But my signature was on the final approval. I had never used that fact as currency, neither had he. Until now. His father shifted in his chair. "Surely we don't need to bring business into family matters." I placed my napkin on the table. "I agree," I said evenly. "We shouldn't." My daughter remained standing, not shaking, not weeping, just steady. "What exactly did you expect?" she asked him. "That I would celebrate a marriage that begins by erasing my father?" "It's one day," he muttered. She nodded slowly. "Yes, it is." The simplicity of her answer unsettled him more than anger would have. I stood, not abruptly, but with the quiet timing of someone closing a meeting. "I don't require an invitation," I said, "but I do require respect. No lectures, no threats, just clarity." His mother attempted repair. Words like misunderstanding floated across the table. Cultural phrasing. Sensitivity. My daughter listened. Then she turned to him. "Tell me," she said, "did you agree with them?" He hesitated. That hesitation was louder than anything else that evening. Power does not always shift with volume. Sometimes it shifts when someone fails to answer quickly. "I didn't want conflict," he said finally. "You created it," she replied. The rest of the dinner dissolved into polite endings. Coats were gathered. Goodnights exchanged like fragile porcelain. He did not stay, neither did she. We drove home in silence. Halfway there, she exhaled. "I didn't know," she said. Not to defend him, just to grieve the version of him she thought she understood. "I know," I answered. The next morning, I did not fire him. That would have been impulsive. Instead, I called human resources. I documented the conflict of interest, the undisclosed personal relationship when he was hired, the ethical oversight, mine included. By afternoon, he was informed that his position would be reviewed under company policy. Suspended pending investigation. Formal, procedural, unemotional. Authority, when exercised correctly, is unmistakable. He called me once. I let it ring. Not out of cruelty, out of boundary. My daughter moved back into the guest room temporarily. Not defeated, just recalibrating. They think I overreacted, she said one evening, sitting at the kitchen counter. Do you? I asked. She shook her head slowly. No. But I wish I didn't have to. That was the cost. Not the broken engagement, though that came quietly a week later. Not the whispers from extended relatives. The cost was recognizing that love sometimes reveals itself under pressure, and not always favorably. His parents sent a carefully worded message, regret without apology, tradition without accountability. He sent nothing. At the firm, the review concluded within 2 weeks. Policy violations confirmed, termination executed with standard severance, no announcement, no spectacle, just consequence. I did not feel victorious, I felt older. One evening, my daughter joined me on the porch. The air had that early autumn sharpness that clears the lungs. I keep replaying it, she admitted. The way he said it, like you were optional. I nodded. In some rooms, I said gently, we are. She considered that, but we decide which rooms we remain in. There was no celebration, no triumphant music in the background of our lives, only adjustment. Family loyalty had chosen a side that night, but love, real love, would take longer to rebuild if it ever did. She began seeing someone months later, slowly, carefully. I stayed what I have always been, present, not central. And if there is one quiet victory in all of this, it is this. Neither of us streamed a wedding we were not welcome to attend.